Today on Homeworthy, we're peeling away the paint on this 17th century bed and breakfast in the English countryside. Sheila and Bruce Harvey Larmar have racked up millions of views on their Instagram account that chronicles the renovation projects of their historic home. Their most popular video, with over 16 million views, showcases them chiseling away at a bubblegum pink fireplace and discovering an important slice of history: Delft tiles and Carrara marble.
Sheila and Bruce, this video received 16.5 million views on Instagram. People are obviously marveling over this discovery. So can you tell me what we're seeing in this video? How did you decide to start chipping away at the fireplace? Were you shocked when you found everything?
Well, for a start, it was the last fireplace we started to restore. We honestly didn't think we'd find anything. We'd found a couple of marble fireplaces elsewhere in the house, but we thought this one was so plain in its style, it was probably wood. I thought I'd scrape away one day, and I thought, well, that's not wood. So we investigated further and then thought, well, yeah, it's marble. It turns out it's plain because that's exactly what we expected to find for a house of this age. That's why it's a very plain, not an ornate surround. But it is marble, and we do have its matching pair somewhere else in the house. As regards to the opening, where all the pink tiles are, basically they were just horrible. So they were coming out whatever. And for a 17th century fireplace, all you'd expect is a big square opening, really, with a grate in the bottom. But Bruce started chipping away at the pink tiles, which were concreted on. They weren't just, it wasn't just tile cement.
It took so long. It took so long. Because it was summer, we had the doors open. We really had a skip in the garden. So I was taking these tiles and these bricks out, giving them to my son. He was passing them to my other son, and he was tipping them in through the window. And it took us all day.
To do the pink tiles.
But honestly, every fireplace in the building was already blocked up and painted white. So we were hoping there'd be something there, but we had no idea.
So when Bruce took the pink tiles off, he uncovered a 1930s brick surround. It's classically curved, and that was probably worse than the pink tiles, to be honest. So that was coming out as well.
Yeah.
And then the very first glimpse we got of the blue Delft, I was somewhere else in the house, because obviously this is when we first moved in. I was doing something else, so he rang me on his phone and said, "I've just found some blue and white. Do you want to come and have a look?" So I just screamed, stop everything, because obviously you know exactly what that means. So I came down and said, "Oh my goodness, Delft tiles. Right, from now on, you go really, really slowly." Delft tiles come from Delft in the Netherlands. And there's quite a lot in this country because right about the time this house was built, it's all to do with the English royal family. We had a Dutch Prince of Orange came to marry our Queen. And he was a really popular king, and basically anybody with any money or any status to show their allegiance to the king, they put Delft tiles in their house. It's exactly when this house was built. That's why we've got them in every single fireplace, we think.
Yeah, and thankfully they built these pillars. They had brick pillars all the way up inside, and they hadn't damaged. There's minimal damage, but they bricked over literally and around these tiles. So thankfully they left them all there. So as I was taking them out, it just more and more was emerging.
And why do you think that they covered them up? Was that common that after like a certain period, people started covering up the Delft tiles?
Well, it's basically the evolution of heat. Fireplaces, bigger openings obviously were much less efficient. So the openings got smaller and smaller, so they were more efficient. So they would have been covered over as the fireplace was made smaller. Fashion as well played a big part in it. But by the time central heating was invented, we have standalone radiators. And when they were invented, it negated the need for any open fires at all. So they were just blocked up to keep the drafts out. So that's why.
I mean, on the pink tile, you've probably seen the first picture. The actual fireplace opening was tiny. It was literally tiny, a couple of bricks worth. And then as you go back in time and as you recreate this, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's why Sheila was saying originally it would have just been a big hole.
When did you decide to start removing the paint on the sides?
I think we did the marble first because of the other fireplaces we had.
Right.
As I said, we weren't expecting at all to find the opening that we found with the delft tiles. On each floor, the fireplaces would have matched because of the symmetry of the time. So we have the matching fireplace, which actually belongs in this room, but it's been moved to another room. And that's local Ashburton marble from literally the next county. So we've got some marble quarried 20 miles away and some marble from Italy.
Do you use the fireplace now, or is it non-functioning and mainly for aesthetics?
Because this part of the house we run as a B&B, insurance won't allow us to have open fires. So they're blocked off inside just to stop the drafts, obviously, but we can't use them now.
But we do tell this story a lot. And we tell it a lot because most people that come with us want to know more history about the house. And we do a little tour of all the rooms, all the fireplaces, everything that we've done, everything that we've found. And so people are really finding it interesting and engaging with us when just normal visitors.
I want to talk about another video that received almost the same amount of 16.3 million, where you guys discovered that little gate in the staircase. Tell me about that. What's going on here? Because I know obviously that was a quicker discovery. There was no manual labor, I don't think, involved.
No, we knew that was there. The house is grade 2 listed, which for English properties just means it's protected because it's historically important. The staircase and the paneling were mentioned on the listing. Nobody had actually been inside. They looked through the front door, saw the staircase, and they recognized the stairgate. So we knew it was there. We didn't know what it was for, really, until we did a bit of research and found out that it was a dog gate to keep guard dogs downstairs on duty, because obviously back in the 1600s, there were no locks of any use. So we knew it was there, but we didn't realise how rare it was. I think there are only 2 or 3 others in the country. And we certainly didn't realise how fascinating people would find it.
Yeah.
We just did that one video that day.
That's crazy.
Because we kept opening it up to show guests. It's getting a little bit rickety, obviously, because it's 330 years old. So I said to Bruce, would you mind just doing this for me so we can show our guests on an iPad in future? And then just chucked it on the internet and it went mad.
And do you guys ever leave it closed, or is it always tucked behind that door?
We don't need to use it, no.
And it's a little bit fragile. It needs a little bit of work on someone who's got a bit more skill at doing it than me, but it just needs repairing a little bit. So it's quite gentle. I have to be careful when I'm putting it out and putting it away. So no, we don't use it.
We don't need to use it.
We don't need to use it.
Are you ever tempted to take out these original features, or do you think that that's what gives the house its character?
But for a start, it's illegal because it's a protected building. So we would go to prison if anybody found out. So we have to keep all the original features. But it's a grade 2 listed property, not a grade 2 star or grade 1. So there is a little bit of leeway. But one of the reasons we bought the house is because of the original features. So of course, we're not going to take any of them out. And because it's so old, we've done a gentle restoration. So we haven't sanded any floorboards and refinished them at all. And we've just cleaned them with soap and water and re-oiled them. So you've still got centuries and centuries of patina on everything. There are chips, there are broken bits, but it all adds to the character. It shouldn't be pristine, not a house like this. We're just trying to live in it gently.
Yeah, so the restoration that Sheila's done and that we've both done is kind of very sympathetic to the building, but also to the history. You know, buildings like this, there's not many of them, so you just have to. We're just basically looking after the building for our kids and the next generation of them onwards. So really, you just have to be honourable to that and just make sure you try and do everything properly.
A lot of research before we touch anything.
Okay, I want to move on to another fireplace video, one that received nearly 2 million views. Tell me about this find. What drove you to tear down that piece of the wall? I saw in the picture, looked like it was covered by a chair almost propped in front.
Most of them just had a board on them. So I said to my son, come on, we've got to take it off, see what's there. Because the room opposite, as I said, they're supposed to be the same on each floor. And the room opposite, it was there. So I said, let's see if we're lucky and find another one the same. So he literally smashed the hammer through gently and then pulled it off. And it's absolutely immaculate. All it needed was a bit of blacking paste on it to polish it up. And of course, then we found the really, really special delft tiles, just a couple of inches around the edge. You got a tantalizing glimpse of what is probably all the way behind, because the fireplace, the insert is obviously later. As I said, they would have just been a square box with a grate in the bottom. So these hob grates were put in about 1720, and they covered the delft tiles completely. So you've got a little glimpse, but we've been on to Delft and they say they are very, very special tiles.
So we are at some point hopefully going to try and gently maneuver that out with the help of an expert, try and get someone to help us move it out gently and bit by bit, and hear someone who understands how it is held in there more than we do, and try and find out exactly what's behind it. And
just document it and then put it back. Because we're not going to remove the the insert, but we'd like to document what's there, and then put it back.
It feels like you're living in a museum.
Yeah, pretty much.
A living museum, yes. We're not precious about anything, you know, because it is a living house, a living, breathing house. So it's really nice when people come to experience it and feel the same way that we do about it, actually.
The building was, the original Tudor building was a single-storey farmhouse in 1550. So then this part was added as an addition, and then there's been more additions after that. So what we did was we got a miniature version of the house made, like a little model, so we could explain it more to guests, people that want to know, and you know, tell them about all the different stages of the architecture and the history in the house, because it's amazing. We've
got so much older features than the fireplaces,
Yeah.
So one more video I want to address, that you discovered those 330-year-old shutters.
We have 47 windows in the house. In this part of the house, I think we have 21 sash windows, and each one has its original pair of shutters still in place. But they've all been nailed in and hammered in over the years, so none of them work. So we thought we'll start in one room and just see if we could prise them open and see what's there, really. So that's what you see in the video. We managed to open it. There are still bits we have to do. We have to put the back panels in. We have to put another flap of wood over so that the shutters close. And we had to have the hinges made. You can't buy them. You have to have them made at the local forge. So we had a blacksmith make them for us. 6 hinges for this one pair of shutters.
£500.
£540.
£500 just for one window,
for one pair of
one
shutters.
set of hinges.
And we've got 21 pairs. So if your maths is any good, that's £10,000 just for hinges. So we're doing them one pair at a time.
But the plan is to do them all.
That'd be nice. We'd like to.
If I live long enough, then that is the plan. Yeah, but you know, who knows?
We found one pair of shutters with the hinges, the original hinges still on them. So we took the whole shutter to the forge, and the blacksmith made every single hinge individually, going by the holes that were already on the shutters, so that we didn't have to make more holes. That's why every single hinge is different and bespoke.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.